Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Binu from the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Al-Musanna, Oman. In this lesson, I'm going to show you some useful tips which will guide you to improve your speaking skills in different speech events, especially in English speaking exams. Besides giving some general strategies to enhance proficiency in spoken English, I will also walk you through the assessment criteria which are commonly used in proficiency exams. The four areas in which your speaking skills are assessed are fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. First, let me give you an overview of this presentation. In this video, we'll be looking at the different purposes of speech, the various speaking sub-skills which are used in different contexts, and the aspects of good spoken discourse. Purpose of speaking. Speaking has different purposes, but the main purpose is to communicate with others. This could be to give information about something, to entertain people, or to persuade others. A second purpose is transactional. Buying tickets at a railway station, ordering food at a restaurant, hiring a taxi are examples of occasions where we use language for transactional purposes. The aim is just to get the business done, and we often use formulaic expressions or fixed expressions in such places. Another purpose of speaking is interactional. Of course, some interaction takes place in the examples I gave earlier, but this could be limited. Conversation, meeting, debate, interview are examples of events where language is used for interaction. In these occasions, there is reciprocity, asking and answering, exchanging ideas, or making arguments and counter-arguments. So both parties take an almost equal role in speaking. The next function of speaking is persuasive. In political or religious speeches, the leaders always try to convince the audience about their policies or ideologies. We can also see the use of persuasive language in our day-to-day life. For example, a teenager may try to convince his parents that he needs a bike to reach college on time. He may argue that the public transportation is not reliable, or the college bus is not economical, and so on. Language is also used for entertainment. In TV shows, comedy programs, circus shows, or even in some speeches, speakers use language to entertain the audience. This could be interactive or non-interactive. The last function of speaking is fatigue. The purpose of fatigue communication is to maintain social relationships. Greeting others when we meet someone, saying goodbye at the end of the day, talking about the weather are examples of fatigue expressions. In most cases, we use formulaic or fixed expressions. Hello, good morning, nice to meet you, have a good day, oh, the weather is lovely today, see you later are all examples of fixed expressions. We also use nonverbal signals like gestures, smiles, or waving the hands for fatigue communication. Let's now look at the speaking sub-skills. These are some of the main speaking learning outcomes students are expected to achieve on the completion of their General English Language course. As you can see, these sub-skills are arranged into two sections. In the first section, you can see the sub-skills which are important for day-to-day interaction in life, like meeting and greeting, making or responding to request, expressing or asking for opinion, describing people, places, things or events, making complaints, repair and repetition, apologizing, etc. In the second section, you can see other sub-skills which students are expected to acquire in their academic life. So these skills are academic. Mastering these skills will enable learners to use English accurately in different situations in their life. Before going into the details of these sub-skills, let's have a look at the aspects of good spoken discourse or the assessment criteria in international speaking proficiency exams. As you can see, in a speaking exam, a candidate's performance is assessed in 4 different areas, namely fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. And each criterion is given equal value in assessment. Let's now look at the first one, fluency and coherence. Fluency means the ability to produce language in real time without undue hesitation or pausing. Remember, fluency is not the speed of the speech, but its length. You must have seen people speaking very fast but unable to continue for long. But even if they continue for long, they do not stay on the topic or talk about something else which is not coherent. So what matters is how long you can continue a speech without deviating from the topic. To be fluent, you don't need to speak too fast. Of course, you can start your speech slowly, but you should get to the natural pace as you proceed further. Another aspect which is associated with fluency is coherence. Your words should make sense to the listener. Your thoughts and ideas or arguments should be logical, well organized, clear, and easy to understand. A problem associated with fluency is the use of crutch words or filler words. We often hear speakers using crutch words like when they struggle for words. Also, there are speakers who have some obsession in using certain specific words. They repeatedly use these words and phrases like, actually, well, you know, like, etc. in their speech. We can overcome this by using appropriate discourse markers. To know whether you are using such crutch words, you can either record your speech and listen to it later, or ask someone else to listen to your talk and give you honest feedback. The second one is lexical resource. Two important aspects of lexical resource are register and style. Register, which is known as jargon, are the words and expressions used by a particular profession. You know that doctors, lawyers, or engineers use certain expressions which are specific to their profession. When these words are used in other contexts, they have different meanings. As you can see on the screen, the words like ace, deuce, rally, tie, etc. are associated with the game tennis. These words have specific meanings in tennis. For example, ace means a serve, especially the first hit that is so good that the opponent cannot reach the ball. And we know that ace is a playing card with the highest value in most card games. And the style of an utterance can be formal, casual, or sometimes colloquial. The use of style depends on the situation, the person or people you are addressing, or the topic discussed. But of course, a speaking exam is a formal occasion, so you should never use any casual or colloquial style of expressions. Collocation is the way words are used together, or it refers to the restrictions on how words can be used together. For instance, which prepositions are used with particular verbs, or which verbs and nouns, or which adjectives and nouns are used together. We often hear people saying the word bullshit when they feel something is nonsense. I'm sorry to use this offensive word, but I think this will help you understand the concept of collocation. Although you must have heard these words on many times, but you have ever heard anyone saying bulldung? Or have you ever heard anyone saying cow shit? I don't think so. The reason is that they do not go well together. We never say bulldung or cow shit. If you look at the sentences on the screen, you can see that in the first sentence, the verb did is underlined because it's not correct to say that he did a mistake. The verb that goes with the noun mistake are made or committed. Hence, we should say he made a mistake or he committed a mistake. Similarly, we should not say high chance but good chance. To give you more examples, the verb do goes well with the nouns damage, duty or wrong. We can say that he did severe damage to her reputation. He did his duty well. He did something wrong. But the verb do does not go well with the nouns trouble, noise or excuse. It would not be appropriate to say that he did some trouble. With these nouns, we should use the verb make trouble, make noise, or make an excuse are examples of collocations. The third aspect of good spoken discourse is grammatical range and accuracy. It means the speaker's command over the linguistic systems. What helps a candidate to score high marks in this category is not grammatical accuracy or the absence of mistakes, but the ability to use a range of sentence structures, natural and appropriate use of language, and idiomatic expressions. For example, if you are asked to speak about a trip you really enjoyed, you should use a combination of different tenses and sentence structures, simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, or compound complex sentences. You should also use time expressions, descriptive language, etc. The whole talk should be presented in a thoughtful and natural way. Sometimes our speech is grammatically accurate but not idiomatic, or it does not make sense to a native speaker. For example, when you attend someone's birthday party with your little sister, if someone says, "It pleases me that your little sister was able to be brought by you." Although there is no grammatical mistake in this expression, it is not native-like in use. In other words, we can say that it is not grammatically wrong, but it is not appropriate or idiomatic. And in proficiency exams, appropriacy plays a major role. So the person should say, "I'm glad you could bring your little sister." Now let's look at the last section in the assessment criteria, which is pronunciation. Good accent, using the different features of connected speech, and prosodic features like intonation, stress, and rhythm are important aspects of good pronunciation. Since phonology is a vast area, I shall now give you some general tips that can help you score high marks in this category. Now let's look at the basic rules of intonation, which means the rise and fall of the voice in speaking. There are basically three intonation patterns in English: a fall, a rise, and a fall rise. First, a rising intonation is used when we ask a yes or no question or some tag questions. Are you from England? Is it new? Did he pass the test? All these questions end with a rising tone. At the same time, for statements, WH questions, and imperative sentences, we use a falling intonation. Winter is my favorite season. How did he pass the test? Keep your mobile phone on the pocket. All these sentences end with a falling tone. And finally, a fall-rise intonation is used to express surprise or interest. Really? Your dogs understand English? These expressions have a fall-rise pattern. Another area students often ignore is about the use of contraction or weak forms. Let's look at the following sentences. My name is Arun Kumar. I am from Chennai. I have two brothers. In these sentences, you can use the contracted form of the helping verbs. So it's better to say, my name's Arun Kumar. I'm from Chennai. I have two brothers. It is good to have some basic knowledge about the words which are contracted in speaking. Finally, as you know that in English proficiency tests like IELTS, there are three parts, and the most important one is the last one. Part 1 is about questions about yourself and your family. And in part 2, you will speak about a topic. And finally, in part 3, you will have a longer discussion about the topic introduced in part 2. So the most important part is the last one. In this part, you will be asked some questions that require higher order thinking skills. If you are able to do well in this section, you will be eligible for a high band on the speaking test. As the saying goes, all is well that ends well. And finally, you should remember that you should always answer the questions in complete sentences, because the purpose of the examiner is not just to elicit some answers to some questions, but they assess and grade your level of proficiency in English. So the examiner asks you about your favorite sport. You shouldn't just say football or cricket. Instead, you should answer the question in a full sentence with grammatical accuracy. A speaking exam should be taken an opportunity to showcase your strength or command over English. So thank you and best wishes.